Hello, and thanks for joining our bite-sized webinar today. I'm Sally Greenaway, the Director of Consulting here at Premier CX. Today is a really exciting session as we've just launched a new service called Emotive. Emotive brings game-changing functionality into the contact centre, and it works seamlessly with the Genesys Engage platform. It takes caller personalization into an area that's never been possible before, the in-queue and on-hold space. Up until this point, callers in a queue would all hear the same messages and would all hear the same music while they waited to be connected to an agent. But Emotive is changing all of that. It enables targeted, personalized messaging to be streamed to individual callers waiting in the same queue. It opens up these areas for targeted messaging that's going to benefit both the caller, the customer, and the organization. Personalization and hyper-personalization is one of the top CX contact center buzzwords. We know that it transforms the caller experience. And I'm joined today by a panel of experts who all use the Genesys platform, and they're going to discuss the personalization of caller experience. So I'd really like to introduce, first of all, Dawn Crichton. Dawn is the Head of Customer Strategy and Experience for Northumbrian Water. Phil Tanner, the Voice Contact Channel Manager at E.ON. Chris Woodward, who's the CEO of Anana, and Anana are one of Genesys' foremost and most innovative partners that they work with. And last but certainly not least, Anthony Buxton, the CEO here at Premier CX. The technology behind Emotive is absolutely a game changer. But why is personalised in-queue messaging different from what the contact centre industry has been using for years? And I'd like to pose this first question to Anthony, please.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Well, I think everyone knows that personalisation is becoming increasingly prevalent, not just in the contact centre industry, but actually across anything. I mean, I find that every time I go onto Amazon, I'm seeing personalized adverts on the side. When I get email shots or mail shots, they're all personalized towards me. I even got some cash out of the cash point machine the other day and was surprised to see an advert that was clearly personalized towards me because it was for a power drill, which is something I've never seen before. I'm quite sure my wife didn't, that wasn't one for my wife. And even in the contact center industry, IVRs are becoming personalized. That's to say that different callers are getting different IVR menu options depending on who they are, and they get different treatment. However, the queue experience has remained obstinately untargeted, and that's what effectively Emotive does. It brings targeted music and messaging to the queue. So I don't know whether, I think many people are probably not aware, but if you've got two people who are listening to the same Spotify channel at the same time, they actually hear different advertisements because probably they fall into different profiling groups. We're essentially bringing that concept into the call center queuing market. But in addition to delivering targeted messaging, the other thing is we're delivering that messaging at the right time. And I personally love the analogy that this is like the supermarket dump bin. You've been around the supermarket with your shopping trolley, you've put all the stuff in the shopping trolley, and you're sitting there in the queue, and you see that rather tempting little morsel, be it a Mars bar or a nut bar or something, you think, oh, go on then, I'll just put one of those in my trolley. And it's that sort of impulse purchase right at the time, just before you're about to make your purchase. And to me, the analogy is very strong because the same is true for somebody calling a contact center. They've had all the thoughts in advance of calling the contact center about what they want to speak about. And just while they're queuing to speak, the contact center is just plopping in a quick targeted messaging saying, you know, why not speak about this as well? And oh, go on then. And so I think it's very exciting. So how do I think it might be used for the contact center? Well, I think there's broadly three main areas. Sales, upselling messages is a nice easy one. Maybe slightly more obscure, if you happen to be able to predict with a relatively good degree of accuracy why the caller is calling, then you might want to answer a frequently asked question while they're queuing. Or the other thing is maybe encouraging the caller to do business with you in a better way. For example, if you might want to play messages which encourage people to sign up for a direct debit scheme to people who haven't yet signed up. People who haven't downloaded the mobile app might want to download the mobile app, or maybe encourage people who to use a self-service channel. Whereas you can imagine that if you play a direct debit message to somebody who's already paying by direct debit, they've already downloaded the mobile app, and the reason they're calling you is because they've just had a very frustrating time using the self-service channel. It's not actually great customer experience to be telling them those things while they're queuing. So I think there's lots of exciting ways that Emotive is genuinely different, really exciting, and we're fascinated to see how the contact center market will adopt it over the next few years.
Thank you so much for that. I think going back to your analogy about the dump bin, the difference that Emotive brings is that dump bin will go back to the chocolate as well. It's a great time because I'm actually feeling quite peckish, so I can't get chocolate off my mind at this point. But actually, the chocolate that will be in the dump bin would be chocolate that we know that consumer likes and has purchased before, or it's an upsell on a brand that they've already regularly purchased. So it's that level of information and being able to target down to that level, which really makes it so much more effective, really, for changing sort of caller behaviour while they're in the queue. So thank you so much, Anthony, for that. I'm going to ask the same question now to Chris.
Yes, absolutely. I recognise it as being a really useful feature. So, I mean, one of my big pet hates is being waiting in a queue to speak to an agent, and I'm told, oh, please go to the website. You can always self-serve on the website. But wouldn't it be great if we knew that they just logged onto the website, so we didn't say that to them, or we knew from the options that person had pressed, or from something we know about their account, that they've got a problem, which means they're going to need to speak to an agent. And the other classic ones is don't try and upsell somebody a product when we know that they're behind paying their bill. One of our customers who's a utility company, a water company, something like this would be fantastic to enable them, if they know somebody's calling from an area where there's a problem, to let them know that, to let them know they're dealing with it. And maybe not necessarily there wouldn't necessarily be a need to speak to an agent then. So lots and lots of opportunities, and the great thing is the data is there now. There's more and more technology that knows about the customer now, from their presence on the web, from social media, from the various business systems that you've got, and that data can be used for useful purposes, really, to drive their experience. And drive their behaviour as well, and actually have the right tone as well. It's sometimes you might not necessarily want to be as upbeat because they have a problem. So lots and lots of potential.
Thank you. And I think one of the other things, coming back to the water analogy there, when you do have an outage and customers are and calling to they've got a problem in their area. A lot of companies digitally have got it right. They'll have pop-ups on their website to sort of say we've got an issue in your area, or even in the IVR. There's often an ability to sort of pop up and say something's happened. They can recognise the location, from the CLI lookup. However, if you've got a queue of 200 people, let's say, in a queue, and some of those people actually are calling about the outage, the ability that we have now with streaming with the technology means that actually we can drop a message in that actually in real time. So those callers in the queue will be able to hear the message that says, we know there's a problem in your area, we're dealing with it, thank you so much. If you need anything else, stay with us. So I think there's huge benefits there outside of that. So thank you. That was a really good point, Chris. Thank you very much. I'm going to move on to my second question now. Dawn and Phil, you both use the Genesys platform in your contact centres and personalisation features as part of your overall customer contact strategy. Concentrating on the personalisation side, how have you used it and what have been the benefits, particularly for the caller and from the caller's experience? Dawn, can I ask that one to you first?
Yeah, I think we all know that trust and integrity and getting journeys right and having a great product are the cornerstones of your customer experience that you can build from. But for me, it's the personalization, and together with emotional intelligence, that really helps differentiate your experience and really takes that customer engagement to another level and helps you dial it up. And I think at Northumbrian Water, we pride ourselves on providing unrivaled customer experiences to our customers, and we provide essential services, and so they have to be able to rely on us for those, and that's a given. So actually, to get that customer loyalty, to get that advocacy, we really do need the personalisation, because they rely on us for the service. It's not that they're choosing to come to us. We've got a monopoly industry. So we do that through a number of ways, and I think we've seen some really huge benefits in each of those sort of iterations. But personalisation is sometimes about giving choice. It's sometimes about taking what you know and using it to tailor the offer for your customer in a way that's likely to be preferred for them. And sometimes it's about giving choices based on what you already know and what they've told you. So, for example, in our digital offering, we would provide a different menu suite to customers who already have an online account, or who pay by direct debit, or who have a meter, than customers who didn't have a meter or who didn't pay by direct debit. And we do that very deliberately, much to pull out some of the things that Anthony and Chris have said, because we already know these things about our customers. So we don't want to have to give them choices that they've already excluded. We want to make sure that the experience that we give is tailored to the stuff that they've already told us. Similarly with our app experience, you log on to that app and we already pull in all the things that we know about that customer, so we can tailor that experience and really make it personal. And I think it's interesting to think where we are just now in 2020, customers, especially as we move through this COVID phase that we're all in just now, where we're seeing much different behaviours from customers. Expectations are shifting, what customers want and how and when they want to get it, that is changing as well. And so personalisation will never have been more important. It's absolutely the thing that businesses need to be aware of and really driving forward to get that buy-in from the customers and to make sure that they have this positive experience. And I think for us, another thing that's key is they come to us for a water or a wastewater experience, but actually are not judged by other companies in the water sector's ability to personalise. What our customers see, because they are customers of other brands outside the water sector, is that basically my competitors are not my comparators. They will look at personalisation from companies like Amazon, Tesco, all of these really digital native brands, and what is the voice experience like when they're coming through with them, rather than what is it like in another water company. So we have to really make sure that we're getting this nailed on, and we have to show them the benefits. And I think when you back it down, we're all time poor, so the benefits are about getting a clean experience, one that's intuitive, one that really uses that emotional intelligence to give that customer a great feel when they're with you. Because customers, they want to be heard, they want to feel like you understand them, and they want to make sure that what you're doing is of value to them. And I think that's why it's great when you can get the tech to work alongside what you're trying to do with the EQ, and you start to have this really, really fab, differentiated, personalised experience.
Thank you. That was really, really, I was captivated listening to that. Thank you very much. Excellent. And Phil, if I can ask the same question to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can certainly relate to a lot of the things that Anthony and Dawn have said, that with what we've done over the last 12 months or so with the voice channel is to try and personalise that journey. But as you already said, the actual in-queue can be very generic. So one of the things that we struggled with initially with the voice channel, and it's key to any personalisation, is understanding who that customer is as soon as possible when they come through to us. So we always had sort of an identify and validate process where you understand who the customer is and then you actually confirm who the customer is. We've moved away from that slightly, and the important thing for us is to understand who the customer is, because a lot of the things you don't necessarily need to validate until you get down to some of the very personal sort of billing type issues where you do need to make sure you are talking to the right person. So right at the top of our call flows, we've started to look at different ways in which we can validate in which we can identify who that customer is, and then immediately move on to a more personalized journey. Self-serve, for instance, has been one of the key things that we've been trying to push, allowing customers to go on to various different apps rather than actually speaking to somebody. Now, with that, yeah, it's great because it generates a cost saving for us within the business, but that might not be suitable for all customers. So rather than pushing all customers into that option, there might be certain demographics of customers that you want to deal with slightly differently. It might come down to the products that they have, that you offer a certain application to a customer, but not to others. Maybe customers who are on a prepayment plan. You don't necessarily want to give them options to update direct debit because it's not applicable to those. Customers who have maybe got an appointment booked, give them an option to change that appointment. But if they haven't got an appointment in the next few weeks, we don't give it. So we've done a lot of trying to do a lot of personalization in that call journey area. But with what the capabilities that this new application will allow us to go on and personalize that in-queue experience as well. So our self-serve, we have been pushing it over the last 12 months. We've seen some really good increases in people using it, but also in customers who are completing fully their application, their transaction with us as well.
Brilliant, thank you, Phil. And obviously, in terms of you've got some really strong metrics and results from this transformation that's happened over the last time as we worked on the project together. And if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about that E.ON project, then they just need to head over to our website, premiercx.co.uk, and we've got a case study up there as well, and another sort of more in-depth interview with Phil Tanner and Sean Madison from E.ON. That was just another quick plug for one case studies, but we worked very well with you over the last couple of years, Phil. So thank you all for that, for those answers. That's great. My next question is really sort of based on the fact that as consumers, targeted, personalised messaging is part of our everyday lives. We're almost normalised to having some degree of personalisation, as you've all sort of touched on in various formats. But when it comes to communication using the phone, there's often a big disjoint. There's a lot of catching up to be done in the industry. So what benefits do you think a contact centre could hope to gain from implementing personalisation? And are there any factors that make personalisation more or less relevant to the contact centre? And let me start, Dawn, could you answer that one?
Course. So yeah, I think the real benefits are around that customer experience and what the customer feels when they're there. I think more and more we rely on that customer advocacy, that word of mouth that they spread about what that experience has been. And as we again move through the new normalization of customers want that almost that validation that what they're saying resonates with other people. And I think you can start to build up a groundswell when you can get people to understand that. So I think it creates a really good feeling for them. They feel important, they feel that they're listened to, they feel that you know them, and that validation is really, really important. And that then bleeds through to all your metrics, because if you're saying the right things to the customer and they are resonating with the customer, then you're probably not having to answer questions that are irrelevant, which brings down average handling time, which brings your call control and all those great things through that you really, really want to see in the outcomes. And we're really focused on outcomes and how our customers feel at the end. So I think personalisation is what adds that shine to it. And when you look at metrics like NPS and customer satisfaction and effort, it's what will reduce the effort and increase the satisfaction. So there's a whole remedy things that you can include in that. But for us, it really is just that feel that they get at the end of it, I think is really, really important.
Thank you. Chris, could I ask you the same question?
Yes, absolutely. I think the keys are increased customer satisfaction, increased revenue, and also potentially reduce the risk to serve by giving customers information and possibly negating the need for them to speak to an agent, or possibly making it easy for them, or suggesting to them that they use another channel which might be better and easier and quicker for them. All those metrics could be used, and it can be, those benefits can be perceived individually or all together at the same time, and it's good for the business and it's good for the customer.
Thank you, Chris. I'm loving everything you're telling me, but I'm beautifully distracted by the fabulous sunshine, which I'm guessing you're not in the UK right now.
That's right. I'm on a campsite in the French Alps at the moment.
Oh, how lovely!
35 degrees heat.
Oh gosh, that's it's lovely to share all that sunshine with us. Thank you so much. Anthony, can I pose the same question?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Sally. So just going back to your question about essentially what benefits would a contact centre look to get out of this, I guess the real answer is I don't know. But what I do know is that by playing targeted messages at the right time, we can influence the caller's behaviour. And I know this because we did a project a little while back with one of the top 5 global pizza chains. And what we did on that project is we played targeted messages to callers who were queuing to be answered by a shop to order a pizza. Now, I know that's not a contact centre, but nevertheless, I think there's a strong analogy here. And what we found is that by playing a targeted message, for example, we might have wanted to play a why not upgrade from a medium pizza to a large pizza only to those people who habitually buy a medium pizza, which obviously would have been a downsell message if they were habitually a large pizza buyer. We found that the take-up was much better. In fact, it was 3 times better. The take-up increased from 15% to 45% when the messages were targeted. So that resulted in a massive 5% increase in average order value, which is huge for a contact center, for a pizza shop. But the other thing that was quite interesting about the pizza example was that in that arena, abandonment rate is really important, because essentially people are ringing up to order a pizza and they're thinking, well, if it takes this company a minute to answer my call, well, it's probably going to take them hours to get me my pizza, and I'm really hungry. I want my pizza now. So consequently, what we did, the average time to abandonment rate before we did the trial was 29 seconds. So at around about the 20-second mark, we played a targeted message which broadly said, so sorry to keep you holding. We know you've been holding for a little while. If you stay with us, we'll give you free dough balls to your order when it's answered. And what that resulted with was a 79% increase in average time to abandonment rate, an increase from 29 seconds to 52 seconds, which resulted in 7% more calls being answered, 7% more orders, essentially. So if you think that you've got 5% increase in average order value, 7% increase in more calls, that has a huge return on investment for any organisation. So yeah, just going back, I mean, yes, that's not a contact centre, but what it does absolutely prove is that by playing the right message at the right time, we can influence caller behaviour. And I'm just incredibly excited to see how this amazing new technology is going to be applied by our contact centre customers. Really excited.
Thanks, Anthony. And actually, with all that talk of pizza on top of the conversation about chocolate earlier, my stomach's starting to rumble already. So, Phil, the last question is for you. What are the benefits that an organisation could gain from implementing personalisation within the contact centre?
Yeah, I think Dawn hit on a great point there about customer effort. So one of the benefits that I think we're trying to implement over this coming 6 months is using that identification, and then personalizing that journey. One thing that we're looking at doing is something that we're calling dynamic menus. So by understanding who that customer is, presenting them with options that are just applicable to those customers. So a bit like, again, you're in queue. It's tailored to that customer, but then the options that we give them before that are also tailored. And the sort of things that I'm thinking of there, you know, a customer who is calling in, we know who they are because we've done the ID on them. We can see that they had a bill 2 days ago. So, are you calling in about your bill? Well, yes, I am, because that's the most likely thing that they'd be calling about, not giving them all of the options and going through that. We take a proactive approach using the personalization, using dynamic menus. Now, again, it might be some customers like having the old-fashioned press 1, press 2, press 3. So again, that's something that we could look at. There might be a demographic of customer that we don't implement that on. But I think the key thing is making the journeys relevant and reducing the customer's time that they have to spend doing things. So this can make things more complex, but it needs to make things more complex for us, not for the customer. So we do the work. We go out and we proactively try and find out who that customer is without asking them the questions. We keep it as simple as we possibly can for that customer and present them with things that are relevant to them, not it might be relevant to them. So again, there's some of the things that I see as benefits in this, but the downside, yeah, it can make things more complex for us in setting up the system, making sure that it's working correctly, but that's us doing the work, not our customers.
Thanks, Phil. And I think, you know, having good data, that's the key thing. It's customer data, and actually, you know, with strong comms teams, when you look at how personalized comms are outside of telephony, it's really bringing the data that you already have on customers that an organization uses and then applying it really to make a really sharp, key personalized experience for the queue and the on hold. I'm conscious of time. We're almost out of time, actually. So I just want to wrap up now and say thank you to everyone on the panel for taking part today. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much to everyone who's listened to the webinar, and stay safe. If you'd like any more information, then please go to our website. And we look forward to talking to you again soon on the next Bite Size webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.